From the Fatheads Eyewear Studio in Indianapolis, Indiana, this is The Skinny.
Maybe I need to start in the trash truck business.
Don't rule it out.
But the steering is spokes on the wheel straight ahead. The steering's broken. Bridges takes the wheel and he goes, whoa, whoa.
He's airborne, and then I'm above him.
Inverted.
All at the same time. Yeah, you're just like, wow, that's a wild picture.
He gets behind the race car and he tells me if I'm good or not, and if I'm good, he'll go, perfect.
I hang up on the guy. I go, who's this? This is Deion Sanders. I go, yeah, nice try. See you later.
Bounce and then this insane roll. That thing sent it.
I hate qualifying. It's the worst.
It's literally the worst thing you could ever do.
But I'm smooth and creamy like milk chocolate. Have you ever not saw a Hershey bar that did not look good?
Hi, I'm Tony Stewart.
I'm Mario Andretti.
I'm Johnny Rutherford.
I'm Angel Sampe.
I'm Travis Pastrana.
This is Antron Brown.
Hi, I'm Kaylee Bryson, and this is The Skinny.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to The Skinny. You're inside of the Fatheads Eyewear Studio. We have Miss Kaylee Bryson on the show with us here today. Quite an accomplished young female racer. I'm Ken Stout, Rico Elmore, the track dude.
What's up?
Mr. Michael Young, as always, back there running the controls. Looking forward to this one. This young lady is, as I said, quite accomplished. She's definitely making waves in the motorsports world, coming out of the world of midgets, if you will, driving for some of the absolute best, including Mr. Keith Coons. But just recently won a championship in the Trans Am Series, of all things, becoming, correct me if I'm wrong, but the third female overall, I think, in Trans Am, second in Super GT, SGT, as it's referred to, correct?
Yeah. Right.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
What a year.
It's been really fun. It's my first full year running road course. So
I was just going to say, and Rookie of the Year
we
to
got
go
Rookie of
with
the
it,
Year.
right?
Yeah, so it made it all the more fun, and which is weird. You never would have thought that I'd be such a pavement lover now. I grew up on dirt, and I always thought pavement was just for getting to the track, but now I absolutely, I enjoy
Throwing it out there.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest.
I like that.
Yeah.
So how did it all start? Where did you start racing? How did you start? What age?
Well, I started whenever I was 9 years old, and my grandparents, Mike and Jane Ross, got me a little dirt go-kart, me and my cousin Jake Nail, and we kind of just did it for fun. There was no, trying to make it to a higher level. It's just kind of doing it for fun on the weekends, going racing, and we started winning a lot, and I fell in love with it. And it was so much fun, and then we moved up from dirt go-karts. We just started dominating in that. So we moved up, and we got into micro sprints, and my grandparents owned Sawyer Chassis. And so I always had, access to the shop and, the whole team in the shop, all the cars, all the different customers. So I really learned a lot about the cars, a lot about the lifestyle of racing. And that's really where I started learning that you can move up in racing. There's more that you can do than to just having fun on the weekends. You can make a career out of it, especially about the time that I won the shootout. I won in 2015, I think, in Restrictor. And I think that's whenever things really started changing a lot. And the next year after that, we won the A-Class Championship and Rookie of the Year in the same year. And I think that's whenever my family realized that I really wanted to be serious about it. And they believed in me 110%, which helped all the much more. So, after that, I moved up to midgets. And actually, our family didn't have enough money to just fund me going to midgets. So I had to be able to get sponsors and people that could afford that for us. So that was the huge next step, was just being able to learn. We didn't know much. We knew about racing micros, and that's all we knew. We didn't know how to move up to the next level. So I went up to one of the Toyota people at Chili Bowl before I even raced the Chili Bowl. I was pretty young at the time, and I was like, hey, my name's Kaylee Bryson. Would you sponsor me? Would you be interested? I want to move up to midgets, and that's something I want to do. And Keith Coons actually got in contact with my grandpa and was like, hey, I hear Toyota's interested in you. And, at the time, that's the way to move up, is through Toyota, to do anything on the dirt side. So that's what I was interested in. I was interested in dirt, didn't know anything about pavement. So I got really lucky, and Toyota funded my dirt midget program completely for 3 years.
Yeah, that's super cool. And by the way, I don't think that door would have opened had you not had the success as well. And winning the shootout. I mean, you mentioned that for the fans at home. We mentioned the Chili Bowl. We'll talk about that a little bit more if you're not familiar with it. But the shootout has 1,000 entries, more than 1,000 entries.
Mm-hmm.
And there are obviously, a number of different classes to get to that. But nonetheless, a ton of people. How many people were in Restrict? You said you won Restrictor?
I did one.
How many people were in?
at least 85 entries.
Right,
in
85 entries.
restrictor.
So
yeah,
no surprise there. And when you won the championship in A class, how many were you competing against?
probably 30.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's a vicious category to come out and try to win in. And there's a lot of people that have won in that want to move up and are certainly very capable, but have not had that opportunity. So hats off to you to have that success.
Yeah, thank you.
You know,
I've been really lucky, really fortunate, and especially to have my family backing me through micros. A lot of people don't get that lucky, and I did. And I had, my family was my crew chief, and my uncle was my crew chief, and I had a lot of people in my corner that wanted me to succeed and believed in me and pushed me along the way. It wasn't just going out every weekend as a kid and just running around for fun. It started getting, well, you could be better here. You can run the top better. You missed your mark there, and constantly just trying to get better at a young age. And I think that helped me a lot, and I appreciate that a lot now.
When did that start making sense for you? When they started, you needed to change your lines. When did that click in your head? Like, oh, I understand what they're asking me to do, when you were able to accomplish that?
Yeah, I would say restrictor because, go-kart didn't really matter. I was just a kid, and I moved up to restrictor. I think I was 13. So about, 13 to 15, I think, whenever I was still in restrictor. So that's whenever it started getting, hit your marks. You need to try and focus on being a better driver, focus on your racecraft. And I was 16 years old whenever I moved up to A class. And, that was a big step for me. Restrictor to A class is quite a big jump. So I moved up to A class in, I want to say 2017, 2016, something like that. I think I was 16 years old and won the championship my first year in A class. And just, I loved racing. I loved everything about it. Loved competing. I loved being competitive. I loved
Who were you
winning.
driving for in A class?
My family. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That was the nice thing about them owning Sawyer chassis, which I still did a lot of work on the car, maintenance it myself. And they had Frank Flood at the time who taught me how to.
Legendary.
Yeah, he's amazing. He is, really, really good at what he does. And he worked in the shop at the time, and he taught me, how to maintenance the car, how to clean the carburetors and restrictor, and just, he was really talented. So he gave me advice, and that really helped me moving up, racing against competitive people, just having his ear in your, just letting him be in your ear and telling you what to do. It was really helpful.
So kind of curious, you mentioned that end of it, and so many young drivers that come up through the ranks. Everything's so specialized now and dedicated. There's not near as many of the drivers, kids, if you will, but young people coming up through that actually work on the car. They go spend time on a sim. They spend time driving, and people that work on the car work on the car. And to be competitive, even at that level, you have to have somebody that's very good at setup, and then you have to be very good at driving. So it's kind of segmented, if you will. But did you learn to get your hands dirty? Did Frank teach you how to work on those things? Did you enjoy that part of it?
He did. Yeah, I did enjoy it because, as a kid, that's the only thing I cared about. School wasn't huge for me. I was ready to go to the shop and hang out and ready for it to be the weekend and go racing. So I loved being in the shop, and, especially at Sawyer Chassis, they have all the machines. I got to learn how to run some of the machines and, just be involved. And I learned how to build cars, and that's so much fun. And still around, winter time's coming up, I'll probably go back to Sawyer Chassis and help them before the shootout comes because it gets really busy. But, I love that side of racing. It's really fun, let alone, being at the track's my favorite. But if I could be in the shop, I'm going to do it.
Did they teach you the first thing you have to do when you walk into the shop is put your hair up?
Yeah. My hair's almost never down.
Long hair in a
especially at the
wave
shop,
is a bad day. All right, we'll take a quick break right here, and we'll be back in a moment.
He messaged me on Facebook. He was like, "Hey, you want to run my car?" I was like, "There's no way this is serious. He's not going to just message me on Facebook."
The Skinny is brought to you by Fatheads Eyewear. Fatheads Eyewear, hardcore since '04. And American Coach. Innovation is our life force.
You were looking at Miss Kaylee Bryson, has joined us here in the Fatheads Eyewear Studios on the Skinny. Congratulations. Was it May 18th?
Yeah, something like that.
May
Belleville.
18th.
Yeah.
Belleville, High Banks of Belleville, and you qualify on the pole.
I did, yeah.
And you become the first female in, I believe it's 69 years of USAC to win a Silver Crown race.
Yeah.
Special day.
Yeah,
Special day.
that was really awesome. For a long time, I've been trying to be the first female to win a USAC national event. So it was really cool to get it done, especially with the team that we have going on, Sam Pierce Chevrolet and Aaron Pierce. We make a really fun team, and we're all like one big family, everybody that's involved in that program. So to be able to go at, a half mile Belleville, which is an awesome track, and go and qualify pole was, awesome. And at the beginning of the year, I was kind of a little nervous going into the season. I was like, I feel like I've been doing more pavement than anything. So, I'm a little bit worried about how the dirt is going to go. And that was the first race out of the year, and we qualified pole and kind of got us back in the game a little bit and got our confidence back up and ended up winning the feature, which was really cool. We thought if we were going to win one, it'd be on pavement, but jumping out the gate and winning a dirt one was really awesome.
So we were talking before we got started earlier about Aaron Pierce, Sam Pierce Chevrolet, great friends of mine for 20 plus years. Polar opposite of you, Aaron.
Yes.
Polar opposite.
Yep.
Do you ever have to calm him down?
Oh yeah. We were at Anderson yesterday, and he's on the chip all the time. He gets in the car and he goes. He's a wild one, and sometimes opposites attract. I feel like I'm a little bit more calm, and he's on the chip a little bit more, but I think that's why we get along so well.
Aaron gets wound up?
I know, it's different.
It's crazy, yeah. That's crazy talk.
New concept.
Yep.
Something else, Aaron is a legit badass on a wing sprint car.
Yeah.
I mean, that dude can rip.
Yes.
I mean, he can rip. There's no question. He gets very upset that the right rear tire will not last. Can't imagine why.
Yeah. Yep.
Weird.
I've actually seen him lose the right rear, come in and pit, and come right back up to the front, and it almost use it as a strategy, I think. He can rip, and I know you told Rico earlier you were testing it at Anderson, and I don't know if anybody gets much better than he is at Anderson either.
He's great. Like, he jumped in the car, and he hasn't been in the car in a minute, and it's just right there competitive times. He's like, before he even got in, I was like, you ready to go? And he's like, yeah, I run this place in my sleep. I was like, all right, that's definitely AP to a T.
Yeah, and to watch him get in the car, did he even take a warm-up lap, or did right on the mat?
Yeah,
right on the mat. Just one of those guys.
Yeah.
That's so good.
We had something wrong with our car, and we wanted to put him in there to verify it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he did. He hopped in the car. There was no getting used to anything. It was just boom. And it was a 5/8. I mean, it was a fast place.
Yeah, he gets after it. And, I transitioned to road course racing this year. And so, last year I kind of got my feet wet, and we have a 2-seater Corvette. So Aaron would get in and drive, and I didn't know anything about road course racing at the time. So he was teaching me everything I know. And I get in passenger seat, and he's just trying his hardest to scare the crap out of me. Like, he's driving, and it's deep into the corner. He's getting it sideways. He's on the chip. It's just, he's awesome. He's been a pretty big teacher in me, especially transitioning to road course racing, since I didn't know anything about that.
That's what I was going to ask. How did that come up? Because of course I know you from Open Wheel, and I've watched you for years and been crazy impressed with everything that you've done. But it's like, hold on a minute, she's doing what? She's running I knew Aaron had the cars. I knew that he had that stuff, but how did that conversation happen?
Yeah, Aaron, well, the whole reason that me and Aaron even got together in the first place was I was running midgets at the time for Keith, and he messaged me on Facebook. He was like, hey, you want to run my car? I was like, there's no way this is serious. He's not going to just message me on Facebook and be like, hey, you want to run my car? But
that's totally him.
He was 110% serious. I showed up to the track. They had a car ready for me. It's the same car I run now. And
the road course car.
The Silver Crown car.
Oh, Silver Crown.
It originally started.
Yeah.
It started at Port Royal, and we had an issue that night or whatever, but that's whenever we really got to get to know the team and get to know everybody, and it's just snowballed from there. But with the road course stuff, he's got some TA2 cars and some Corvettes. And he's like, hey, you want to come to Sebring and run the TA2 car? I was like, well, never done it before, but sure, why not? And he threw me in the 2-seater to let me watch him. And then so he had 2 TA2 cars at the time, so I'd get in one and he'd get in the other, and I'd go around the track and follow him. And he's really good at it. Of course, he's straight out the bat turning fast time. So he slowed down his pace a lot for me to just follow him, get comfortable with the car, get comfortable with shifting and turning right, learning the track. And then we started going faster and faster and faster. And we started running competitive against each other. And that's kind of how that whole deal started.
So is the Corvette, the SGT car, is that an H pattern?
So we have a sequential in it.
You do?
And, yeah. So we don't have the auto blip. We tried that at first, and it was actually quicker to run without it. And especially on downshifts, because it takes a couple seconds to actually get it to downshift. So if you could just do it really quick. And once you're in that low RPM, it's
So
quick for that.
where I was leading to, do you have to heel toe?
So my first race in the Corvette is they have like 3 of them. So 2 of them are sequential, and the first one I ever ran in was heel to toe shifting. And I've never done anything like that. I get thrown in the race. We actually practiced it a couple times, but I get thrown in the race having a heel to toe shift. It was a handful, but I definitely enjoy the sequential a whole lot. It's a lot easier.
It's a lot easier.
Yeah, a lot easier.
The heel toe thing is quite an art. Did you watch any video on it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Aaron's really good at it, so that's what he had in the 2-seater. But yeah, he'd send me all the video and be like, "Hey, study this, watch this." And the issue I had was my feet were too small to be able
I was
to just...
wondering that because they'll move the pedals. I mean, a lot of them, they'll customize the pedals based on foot size of the person, because obviously a big foot, you want to spread them apart a little bit. Smaller, you got to keep them tight.
Yeah, my feet were not big enough, so they definitely had to, we were talking about getting different shoes that were just wider and all kinds of different things, but moved to the sequential, so it made that whole process.
There are people that go heel toe. I always did the side of my foot. Like I
had to do this.
And then the side.
I had to do the side, so I'd be downshifting, hitting the brake, and blip.
But it's such an art, because that's what a lot of times everybody's about the same, except for in the brake zone. If you're brake zone and you're in the brake zone and you're heel toeing and you're downshifting, it's hard not to pulsate the brake while you're shifting.
Yeah.
It's just what you do. But if you can get somebody that's good, they'll run in there and brake like they're not heel toeing, and they get an advantage, and it's a passing zone.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But I definitely enjoy the sequential stuff a lot more. It's a lot easier whenever I'm still trying to figure out, the tracks and all that stuff. I went to so many different tracks I've never been to this year, but that was kind of the fun part of it, just a totally different style of racing aside from dirt. So I was 10th in the B main.
In the B, you started 10th?
The first, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. Welcome back to the Skinny. Ken Stout, Rico, Elmore, Michael Young, and the talented Miss Kaylee Bryson has joined us here. Mentioned the Chili Bowl a little bit earlier, and we have to talk about this. It's the most prestigious midget race in the world. 350 plus cars show up to go racing there, and they are all looking to qualify in the top 24 on Saturday night to run the A main. Yes, 350 plus to qualify for the top 24. And they start racing on Monday night, and they race Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Probably 80 to 90 cars every single night that you battle through. Heat races, qualifiers. It is an extremely difficult week. And
Just
then
takes one little problem.
One little problem.
Just one.
And you're in the middle of what they call the alphabet soup on Saturday, because they take all 350 of those cars and then they line them all up again on Saturday for their mains. And you could be in an M or an N main. I mean, it goes deep, and then it runs up, obviously through the alphabet till you get to a pair of C's and a pair of B's, and then of course the A main. If you make it to the C's, you are racing with the who's who. If you make it to the D's, you're racing with the who's who's.
And there's some who's who's that are deeper than the D.
Oh, no question.
And don't make it up.
No question. But I mean, I would say a C or a D would be a promoter's dream to have at any racetrack.
Yeah.
Right? It's that talented. It's that difficult. This young lady won the B main, her B main, that put her into the A main, went on to finish 18th that year. I believe it was 2022. And to this day, still the highest finishing female at the Chili Bowl.
Yep.
And raced into it.
Yep.
There might be people out there thinking 18th, whatever.
Yep.
Let me tell you something. 18th, making the A main.
Where did you start to make it?
20. So I was 10th in the B main.
In the B, you started 10th?
The first, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's the story.
Yeah.
That is a story.
Yeah.
Because
you have to pass that level of people to win it.
And Ryan will have to find the footage of that, because her drive, and I mean, it was the place was electrified, because her drive and it could have been somebody else, but it was her, and it was amazing.
Yeah. So talk to us about the B main. Tell me, who were you battling with?
Man, I was stressed that race, because I wanted to make it in. I wanted to, not make it in, just make it in comfortably and be able to, not have to worry about being on the cut line, But that was a fun race. We started 10th and just like kept picking them off. No, I didn't go into that race thinking I'd win, but I was like, man, I really want to transfer. And we kept picking them off and eventually got to the lead. And that was the coolest race of my life just because the fans were going insane. I saw the checkered and everybody was standing up, hooting and hollering. I got off the track and there's like a huge crowd around me. Like that was the coolest race, probably. That and Belleville is the coolest races of my life just because the fans were absolutely insane.
She pulled into Keith Toon's pit, and I mean, you couldn't get close. It was mass chaos.
Yeah.
But it was
There's
unbelievable.
a pretty good chance I was there.
I think you might be more.
I might have been hosting that show. Talk to me about your qualifier night, because if you started off 10th in the B, where'd you finish up in your qualifier? You had to be 5th or 6th, somewhere around there in your qualifier.
Yeah. So prelim night, I think that we finished 6th or 7th in the feature, which those features are stacked. Like it was, I battled like my heart out in that race just to get, in the top 10. But I think we ended up 6th or 7th, and it set us up decent for Saturday night. We were 10th in a B main. That's still, the B mains are like really stacked features. And so, all week, I think we ran on Tuesday. I was just itching to get to my night. I was just ready to get over with. I wanted to race it because I was just so concerned about making it into the feature. I wanted it so much, and was fortunate enough to have a really good car that year, and we were able to put it in the year that year and the year after that as well.
How much seat time did you have to prepare for that race? I mean, I'm guessing you ran the midget the entire year before, but there's really nothing like the Chili Bowl, is there?
No, Port City's probably the closest thing to it, just because it's a little boring. But I ran with, I think my first year with Keith Coons was 2020, and I think I made it in 2022. I made it in 2022 and 2023, I think, is the years I made it in. So, I got quite a bit of seat time throughout the year, but nothing really compares to Chili Bowl. There's no tracks like it, and there's no tracks that have that much competition and that many cars. And, every race you go in from heat race qualifier, everybody's driving as hard as they can. And so it's definitely a totally different atmosphere, but we got really fun.
And it's interesting watching some of the people that do that. Some people just have to bumper bang. She was clean, smooth, and that was the exciting part.
When you got a fast car, and you can drive it, you have to be able to drive it. Yep. Could you go to the top? Could you run the top or bottom?
Yeah. We were in both in that race, but to get around all those cars, we did run the top most of that race, and most of the cars were running the bottom at the time, so I was able to sneak by them on the top, and as soon as we got the lead, jumped down to the bottom and cut that lane off before they could get a run on me, so that really worked out perfect. But this year, we're actually going to race with Abacus Racing at the Chili Bowl, which they have a really amazing car, and, I'm
You're
really
going to be teammates with Logan?
Yes.
Your other Okie?
Yep.
Or no, he's
from California, right? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thornton, I'm thinking of, not F.
I'm kind of curious because we've got to take a break here, but whenever you run the Bs, honestly, the track is probably used up about them because they spend the next 45 minutes picking that thing, getting it ready for the A main. How much different was the track? You said you were running the top.
Yep.
I'm sure people were running the bottom because they run down there in that gutter rat line because that's all that's really left after they run all of the Cs and the Bs. And then obviously they pick it and the track is completely different for the A's.
Yeah, so in that B feature, the track was slick all the way to almost to the wall. So whenever I was running the top, it was pretty far around. I mean, you really had to stand on it. And for the feature, they completely reworked the track, and it was almost, all around the bottom most of the race. You were pulling, I think I had 30 trails on, pulled all of them. Like, it was just completely different track for the feature.
And treacherous to run that cushion. You said we say run on the top. I mean, it sounds like, okay, cool, she's cruising around the top, but typically it's a ledge.
Yep.
It's not really a cushion, something, if you jump it, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
And it's about that far, maybe it's that far. I mean, it's inches off
on the wall. Yeah.
It's easy to do in those midgets too. They can get real upset real quick. So you really have to be careful with them, but at the same time, you have to drive them hard to be fast. So total different from, especially Silver Crown. Silver Crown is not that way.
That's a big mud bus compared to that thing.
Yeah, the small, like we ran the BC39 this year with Abacus, and I was like, man, I've only been on dirt like 5 times this year, and this is the smallest track I've been on all year. Like with Silver Crown, I think we run half miles all year long. So it was different to run midgets again. So I'm hopefully we jump back into that at Chili Bowl, and it's just right back where we were last year. deep you can drive it in the corner and not be able to run up on somebody, whenever you're braking as hard as you can at 165 miles an hour and you're inches away from somebody. It gets pretty important to know how your car handles.
Welcome back to The Skinny. We're here in wonderful Indianapolis, Indiana, the racing capital of the world. We have Miss Kaylee Bryson on the show with us here today, chatting with her and her young career, 23 years old,
23 years
correct?
old, yeah.
I mean, we can say that when you're young. It's
Yep.
when you get older, we have to be careful. But, yeah, she's making a name for herself. I had the pleasure of calling the Trans Am race at Virginia International Raceway the last time you were inside of a sports car. And I went up to you, had a chance to chat with you briefly, and yeah, you were definitely excited about running that style of race car and to be on the asphalt. 3 wins, I think it is so far. You still have a shot at one more, where you'll race at COTA here next weekend, I think it is.
Yep.
So this show will air after that. But Rookie of the Year and that, you also secured the championship, as we talked about at the top. And I had a chance to watch, and I was like, I hadn't seen you race earlier in the year, but I knew Eric Foss, and Eric Foss is a player.
Yes.
I mean, he's been around for a little bit, and he can wheel a hot rod. I know he was in a new car, but a Corvette as well.
Yeah, I want to say it was an 8, the 7 or the 8. I think we have the 6.
Oh,
So
yeah.
he definitely had an upgrade, but it was fun racing against him, and he races IMSA a lot, or he did, and he's a really talented driver. So whenever we heard that he was coming to VIR, we were pretty excited. We love a really good competition. It kind of lets us know where we're stacked
Absolutely.
up at. But yeah, in practice sessions, he was just a little bit faster than us every time. I was like, man, like I'm driving like as hard as I can, and he's just always just a little bit quicker. And started following him a little bit and learning a little bit more of his style. And in the feature, we were able to get him on that last restart, which was awesome. Like, that was probably one of the funnest wins that I've had in Trans Am so far.
Well, I know, and they did an interview with you afterwards, and I found this to be very cool. First of all, as I was announcing the race, my job is to tell people who you are.
Yep.
And I said, let me tell you what's not going to happen here. She's not going to crush under the pressure, because she's felt the highest level of pressure you can feel in a race car. I mean, you don't accomplish what you've accomplished behind the wheel of a Midget or a Silver Crown car and not be able to deal with it. So I knew that was not going to be a factor, but I loved the part of the interview where you said, we're going side by side, raced each other clean.
Yeah.
Nobody did anybody dirty, but it was good, hard racing.
It was. And especially, like, even with the 3rd place at the time, Joshua, there was several laps where, sometimes our cars are a little bit better in different sections. So there's several times where we were, side by side, inches apart, never touched. And same whenever I passed Eric, I was able to, just break a little bit farther than him, and was able to get by him. But I think almost 5 corners we were side by side, 2 wide in every corner, never touched, and was able to pass him. And that's a fun thing about Trans Am. Dirt racing is a little bit different. You're wheel to wheel and rubbing's racing, but in the Trans Am, it's a no contact sport, so you don't want to rub up or touch on anybody. So you really you learn how wide your car is, how much your car can handle, and how deep you can drive it in the corner and not be able to run up on somebody. Whenever you're braking as hard as you can at 165 miles an hour and you're inches away from somebody, it gets pretty important to know how your car handles.
Yeah, and tell the fans about VIR. First of all, we should also say you won Rookie of the Year, but it's certainly worth noting you had not been to any of these tracks before. So, and to compete at VIR, it is a track that takes a lot of discipline. There's a little bit of something there. The high-speed turns you were just talking about, the S's, I mean, it's a busy track.
It is. And yeah, my first time at VIR. So I just got iRacing. I didn't have it before, but I really just studied up on film to learn the tracks. It's because you don't get a whole lot of time with Trans Am to practice. I mean, you get 2 practice sessions and you're straight to qualifying. So you have to know the track. You have to go out there at the track like you've been there before if you want to be competitive. So studied up on film, got pretty comfortable with the track before I even hit the track, and went out there and already felt pretty comfortable. Was just trying to critique little things to get as fast as Eric Foss. And there's a lot of high commitment corners and straightaways, and the S's are insane. You get your right sides off the ground a little bit at the end of them, but just a lot of high commitment stuff. And at the same time, turn 1, turn 2, you're almost down to 50 miles an hour going as slow as you can, and just trying to keep the tires underneath you. But yeah, it's just a totally different atmosphere, and especially doing a 100 miles like that is trying to keep the tires underneath you and not burn your tires off so you have something left. It's at the end, it's the last lap that counts. But yeah, that was one of the coolest places we've been this year.
Do you feel like that was a difference between you and Eric at the end of that race? And did you manage tires a little bit better, or brakes? Do you think he lost his?
I think he definitely had a little bit better package, but I think we were able to manage a little bit better. And he even said that after he came up to us. He was like, "Man, I really thought that I saved my tires a little bit better than that." But I think that's what really helped us, was just being able to brake farther than him a little bit more and just having a little bit more tire left at the end. I think that's really what got us the win there.
When did you pass him? Last lap?
It was 2 laps to go is whenever we got him, because it's a multi-class race, so we passed several GT cars, and even a couple XGT cars that were upper class, and me and him were battling through a whole bunch of traffic through that. And even though we're not battling for position, there was a lot going on.
Awesome stuff. Once again, we'll take a quick break here. We'll be right back with more from Miss Bryson.
Corvette, for sure. I would have never thought that.
Wow.
Yeah, but I feel pretty comfortable in a Silver Crown car, but.
The Skinny is brought to you by American Coach. American Coach, innovation is our life force. And Fatheads Eyewear. Fatheads Eyewear, hardcore since '04.
Welcome back to the Fatheads Eyewear studio. Miss Kaylee Bryson has joined us in here. Quite an accomplished driver already at her young age of 23, including 2021, qualifying on the pole at the Turkey Night Grand Prix, another massive race out there that you did a really, really nice job at.
Yeah, thank you. And Ventura, I love Ventura. It's the best vibes out there. They got the beach right there, and got there and qualified first. And they had people like Kyle Larson there and all that, and ended up running 5th in the race, I believe. But that was an awesome race. And knowing that we get to go back this year with Abacus, I'm really looking forward to that.
So is that the plan? Because you mentioned that you're going to go run the Chili Bowl as well. So you're going to run the Turkey Night and obviously the races that are associated out there in that time frame.
Yeah, we're going to go run the West Coast Swing, and that's the best preparation you can get for Chili Bowl coming up for it. And especially since I don't have a lot of laps this year on short tracks, and especially in midgets, just to get back comfortable in it and back in the swing of things. And I think we've built a really good relationship with the team over at BC39. But just to finalize things and get the cap sealed for Chili Bowl, I think we'll be good to go.
Yeah, you mentioned that too. You did run BC39 as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. We qualified for that race, and it was a little challenging at first, just trying to get back in the swing of things. Midgets are a totally different animal.
Was that the first time back in a car, and how long?
A year. It's been a while, since Chili Bowl. The smallest track I've been on all year is a half mile.
And that was a difficult race, as I recall.
It
a
was.
lot of weather that weekend.
It was, yeah. It rained out several nights, and they had to postpone it, but they finally got it in. It was a fun race, and nice to get familiar with the team and back familiar with midgets, and hopefully getting a lot more comfortable back in the West Coast, and hopefully put in a show for Chili Bowl. That's the plan, and hopefully be able to lock in on our prelim night.
That's pretty good, being out of a car a year and being able to come back and do something like that to qualify for that.
Yeah,
for the
another
BC.
specialty race where talented drivers show up.
I mean, that's tough to do. So that's exciting going into the Chili Bowl with those guys.
Yeah.
You said you drove a wing car. Did you drive an asphalt wing car?
So I have driven on asphalt in a wing car, but we actually went to Belleville in a 305 for the Belleville Nationals. The Belleville 305 Nationals, what I think it was called. I think there was 60 entries. We ended up qualifying like second or third. Never been in a 305, and ran 6th in the race. Definitely different, totally different from a Silver Crown car there. But you hold those things wide open, try and not kill as much speed as possible. Don't turn the wheel at all. Just hold it as straight as you can. But that was a lot of fun to go to Belleville and just be able to drive for so many different teams. Abacus Racing, we drove for the Cranston team. Aaron Pierce, the Corvette team that I drive for at LSI Racing. There's so many different teams I get to drive for. I'm pretty fortunate to have so many people behind me and believing in me.
Michael, do you have a question?
I just find it interesting. You talk about just so many different forms of motorsports that you're in. What would you consider as your best? Did you think I am my best when I get into what type of car?
Corvette, for sure. I would have never thought that.
Wow.
Yeah, but I feel pretty comfortable in a Silver Crown car, but I'm new to road course racing, but I feel it's more my style for sure. Midgets is wild. I did that for 3 years. You really have to be on the edge constantly, and I just feel like there's a lot more racecraft in Silver Crown and Corvette, so I enjoy that a whole lot more. But midgets, it's still fun to get back in. Any type of racing I'm going to enjoy.
Where do you go from here?
Hopefully next year. The plans aren't secured yet, but I'd love to do a whole lot more road racing. Try and move up a little bit from the Super GT class. That class has so at Dyno, we have 700 horsepower in the Corvette, but they make us run restrictor plates and try and keep it's almost classified as GT3 car. So they try and keep everybody on the same playing field since they're not all the same cars. So we hit the track at about 550 horsepower. But I'd definitely like to up that next year and do some more road racing. And I want to do more Silver Crown races, especially Gateway, Belleville. Some of the tracks I really love. I'd love to win a race at Gateway. I want to win one on pavement. I think that's my next goal. And Silver Crown, and I definitely want to get into wing dirt sprint car racing.
Wing dirt, yeah. So
yeah,
potentially something like a World of Outlaws
or High Limit, yeah. Anything.
Yep.
I'd love to get into that type of racing. I don't have hardly any experience, but that's definitely something I want to look for in 2025.
So Michael brought up a question earlier while we were at break about you driving for a lot of different teams, but the success that you've had here with the teams that you've driven for, does that open up the doors and make that phone call a little bit easier? Will you seek out a team to possibly find a ride?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I've been pretty lucky. Most of the teams that I've driven for have come to me. But definitely, whenever you haven't done anything, I don't have any experience in the wing stuff. So you're not going to see a whole lot of teams coming to you just because you don't have any experience there. So I'm definitely going to be trying to make some phone calls, trying to make things happen, because that's something I'm really, really wanting to do. That's something I've wanted to do since I was a kid. But yeah, hopefully that'll work out and we're in a wing sprint car next year.
All right. Once again, we'll take a break here and we'll follow up with a little bit more from Kaylee Bryson.
If you come up to somebody with a box of cookies and brownies, like, hey, which one do you want to run? Take any.
6 wins, 15 podiums, and 28 starts. I believe 19 top 10s along the way so far this year as well. So pretty good stats here for 2024.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even know that.
A lot of different disciplines too. I mean, you've been in a few different cars, so.
Yeah, I've driven a lot of different cars and more pavement than anything. And before Belleville, we actually got to go and run Tony's TQ Midget. And I think that really helped me at Belleville. So
you were with Keith Coons Motorsports, and a lot of people would beg for that opportunity.
Yep.
And obviously in association with Toyota as well at the time. And you decided to depart from that and go a different direction. Fill us in.
Yeah, well, I was very, very fortunate to get Toyota's backing for 3 years. And, they put me in a late model. We won 3 late model races with them out of 5 or 6.
Where was that?
So we ran a couple at Hickory, Tri-County, and we did some on the West Coast. But just some different tracks. It was really fun to go, get a feel for some different things. I got to test an ARCA car with Toyota Racing. We went to Motor Mile, and I'm not going to name drop any names, but there's some pretty awesome drivers there that we were just jumping in and out of the seat, running the same car, and everybody was running the same times, which is really cool. And those things are like driving.
Go ahead and name drop. We want to hear it.
I'm not going to name drop some names. Just some high class Toyota drivers that run the Cup, Xfinity Series, Truck Series, but we went there and was running competitive times with everybody else. So it was really cool, and did the late model stuff. Got to get in our car. Got to experience the sim life. They have a really cool simulator. Just got to experience the Toyota life. It was fun for a while it lasted, but there was really nowhere to move up to in ARCA. So there's no open seats at the time. So I think the best thing for my career was to go, try Silver Crown car, go Corvette racing, not just be in midgets for 4th, 5th year. So
was that Venturini stuff? Is that what you guys were running?
Yeah.
Yeah, and what Jack Irwin put all that together, right? When that his deal. Yeah, I was interested because I know Logan kind of had that same path, similar path, I should say, that he was doing some of that, and it's wild, the progression of how talent gets to the next level now. I think what you're doing now is absolutely amazing. It shows your diversity.
Yep.
Would you ever want to run Indy?
Oh yeah. Anything I can, people ask me all the time, "Hey, you want to run NASCAR or IndyCar?" But if you come up to somebody with a box of cookies and brownies, like, "Hey, which one do you want to run?" Take any. Like it's all going to
Right.
be awesome. Anything I get the opportunity, I'm going to go in at 110%.
When you were a little girl, when you started, I think you said 9 is when you
Yep.
started. You didn't really have a plan.
No, no plan
Did,
at all.
what was the ultimate goal when you finally decided this is what I wanted to do? Did you have a goal? Did you have a mindset? Or did you just take it year by year?
Well, at the beginning, it was just for fun, and then it became just I wanted to win whatever was in front of me. So at the time, I was running restrictor. I wanted to win the shootout. I wanted to win the championship, and I wasn't thinking too far ahead for a long time until I got to A class and outlaw, and then I started thinking like, man, there's people that run World of Outlaws. Like that's what I want to do. I didn't know much about pavement. Everybody said pavement's for get to the dirt track. And, I grew up thinking that. And, I got thrown in a pavement car. Pavement late model, I think, was the first pavement car I've ever been in. And we won our first race in a late model. And I was like, this is pretty easy. It's a late model. Like, it's nothing compared to dirt. And, late models are tough. I'm not going to say late model racing's easy, but, compared to dirt racing, it was a little bit easier just to, hit one line every lap. There wasn't so much going on and just seemed a little bit easier for me. And once I got to do a little bit more pavement racing, it gets a lot harder the higher you move up. Like it is tough. And especially in the Silver Crown, you're racing against Cody Swanson, Justin Grant, Logan Seavey. Those guys are amazing at what they do. And it just got tougher and tougher the higher I moved up. And, then I start thinking, man, NASCAR would be cool. IndyCar would be cool. And IMSA, like I want to run IMSA really bad. I'd love to run, the GTD classes and IMSA because it's pretty comparable to what I run now. But anything I can do to move up, I love. I love sprint car racing and I love how diverse I am now. So just being able to run dirt and pavement, road course racing, I'm living the dream right now and being able to do what I love. And that's pretty cool.
Soft-spoken assassin.
Absolutely.
I love it. It's absolutely great.
Don't mistake kindness for weakness.
Yeah.
Exactly right. We'll be right back and find out what the future holds for Miss Kaylee Bryson.
Want to get the skinny on other guests and different types of motorsports? Check out our YouTube page and get the skinny. The Skinny is brought to you by Fatheads Eyewear. Fatheads Eyewear, hardcore since 04. And American Coach. Innovation is our life force.
You're looking at the Fatheads Eyewear Studios. Welcome back to the Skinny. Ken Stout, Kaylee Bryson, Rico Elmore, and the track dude. Covering this one up. It's been a great show. Love hearing about your career and obviously talking about your successes. So where do we go from here? What's 2025 look like?
Well, hopefully a lot of things. I've been pretty diverse the last couple of years and I've absolutely loved it. I for sure want to do some more road racing. I enjoy that. I think that's at the top of my list is road racing. And then, wing dirt sprint cars I think would be really cool to get my toes wet in that sort of racing for sure. I haven't done a whole lot of it, but really would like to do a whole lot more in 2025. I'd like to for sure hit several Silver Crown races, which I think we'll for sure do. Gateway, I want to win there. We almost had a shot. We ran third. Was just, less than a tenth away from second. And I think if we had another lap, we might have been able to win it. But, I definitely want to get a win on pavement in the Silver Crown Series. But, diversity is huge for me. I want to be able to run as much as I can, different types of cars. I want to get in the road course scene. I want to get in dirt. I want to run pavement. I want to run it all.
Yeah, that's awesome. Anything solidified? I mean, everything you just talked about, those are all big series, a lot of dates. Do you think, will you dedicate to one like you did Trans Am, or will you try to cherry pick some different ones?
I'll do a little bit of everything for sure, but I know that we have the Silver Crown stuff solidified. We'll for sure do quite a bit of those. I don't know if we'll run for points, but we'll run quite a bit of the races. And actually going to have a meeting next week about what our road course plans are, so I can't say anything on that yet. But dirt plans, you never know what's going to happen. You might run some midget races next year with Abacus, and I would really like to do some wing stuff. I don't have anything planned yet, so definitely going to be the next couple months trying to plan something, make something happen.
Awesome stuff. You've been a wonderful guest.
Yeah, I appreciate it. This is fun. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah.
And welcome to the area here. And
yeah.
obviously we wish you all the success in the world, and looking forward to watching you do well.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's been a blast on the show, and hopefully we do it again sometime.
Yeah, you're welcome
Absolutely.
anytime.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was
Good
awesome.
job, pal. Good job.
Ditto.
All right, now you know the skinny. I'm Miss Kaylee, Bryson. We'll see you next week.